breakthroughs. What can I help you with our last session, session 5? Anyone have anything from going through the homework and watching the videos over and stuff that I can help you with? Can you hear me? You guys, okay.
Right here.
Go ahead, Michelle. Did you have something?
I lost my train of thought. It jumped away.
Well, when it comes back, make sure you just bring us in. But yeah, just looking
Okay.
to see if anybody had any questions or breakthroughs, something from the last session, something I can help you with before we move on to the next one. So where we stand on our homework from last week, our self-work. You moving along with that?
Michelle Cabell and I, we were working on the role playing. We had our Zoom that we did. I know she invited a couple other people there to it as well, but we worked on. We have a specific time and day set for a different thing. We did some brainstorming in that as well. And we had some questions that we're going to put out to the group as far as, I thought she was going to be on here, but we were wondering what everybody uses. Okay. We wondering what everybody uses as far as your pricing, your going over the scripts for the CMA and the listing appointments and such. And what people use as far as like when they're pricing a home, as far as like what they're looking at as far as how much more a garage puts onto it or something like that. Do you understand what I'm saying?
You kind of broke up. I didn't hear you what your actual question was. Can you repeat it real quick? It was what script they're using for what?
We were wondering what everybody uses to price as far as when they're talking to potential listings, as far like additions, garages, different things like that. What are you using to see your prices aside from?
Well, I mean, I don't know how you would do it other than comps in a sense, but it's really just comparing what the market is currently having, what people are buying in the market, and where they're going at. When we get into the listing presentation, we go deeper into that script and that presentation and how to go into there and where to come up with it. But I mean, you were breaking up a couple of it. I don't know if I heard your question clearly enough, but I'm thinking you were asking about what people are using outside of just showing comps, how they're actually getting them to come along with the price. And I think it comes down simply to just understanding the market, understanding that, like we talked about in last week's session, was getting them to understand that that you and them don't set the price, the market sets the price. So we really have to really get in tune with what's currently happening in the market and be able to interpret that to them. We're that thing, just like if you're investing in stocks, you don't care what the stock, I mean, you do care what the stock has done over a history of time, but you really care about what's happening now, because that's where you're buying it or doing anything at. The over time is showing you the trends and getting you the kind of feel, but right now is what you're paying for. And it's the same for in a home. So how does that particularly fit? And I think if you just kind of get into the other mindset of actually having a part of your dialogue is letting them know that you're looking for that hidden gem. There's something about that home that you can market and bring forward and show people that they can't see from the curb. And what is that? Every home has something, and we need to showcase that and bring that forward. It's not what they can see from the curb. What is that one thing? So there's some homes that have just like a beautiful view out the backyard, but you can't see it from the street. So if you showcase that, people will come in. If there's something in that home, what is it? And really just looking for that differentiator. What's that single piece? But I get where you're at, and I think it's just getting into deeper conversations and bringing them in to the market interpretation. If if they're thinking that you're coming in to appraise the home and they're going to list the home with the person that tells them the highest price, you need to educate them that no, I'm here to get you to walk away with the highest price, not to list your home at the highest price. So, does that help a little? All right, cool. Anyone else have any questions or anything from going through the scripts and stuff that we did last week in our self-work? All right, well, let's jump into understanding communication styles. Guys, this is the piece that allows us to grow our business. It allows us to grow as individuals because we learn to communicate with those and understand what's the programming behind those people that sometimes we don't align with. And I don't mean we don't align with them because of our beliefs or things. They just have a different way of looking, and we don't communicate well with those people. Engineers are a tough group of people to communicate with and do things. And we need to understand what's behind why they think the way they think and how can we ease that and bridge that gap. And the reason is the more versatile we get in our communication style, the more adaptability we have, the more opportunities come our way for business. Well, right now, if you really start looking at your business over the last few years, the majority of people that you're doing business with are similar in communication styles to you. And we're going to go through the 4 communication styles, and you're going to start getting some awareness through it after this call. And you're going to start identifying people pretty quickly. So when you understand the 4 basic communication styles, the first thing you need to do is identify who you are. It doesn't do you any good to understand other people if you don't understand yourself. So you really, as we're going through this, spend a lot of time thinking about who you are and then be thinking about the adaptability. So the key to understanding other people, like I said, is understanding you. Don't try to be somebody that you're not. Work to understand other people and learn to work with other people. It's called versatility. We need to understand, we need to work with them. We don't need to love and like them, okay? We just have to respect them and work with them. There are people that are going to come into our world that are probably not people that we're going to want to hang with 24/7. They're good people. They just have a different way of looking at life. And as we understand their communication styles, it allows us to respect what's there within them and go on to them. So since we all have an individual communication style, you'll notice at times that somebody you know really well, or you at times, suddenly changes styles. We just all of a sudden become a little different. We're like, oh, we didn't see that coming. That's what happens when we adapt with stress. When stress comes into a situation, we move into a different way of communicating, a different way of moving stuff, because that's our adaptability. That's our survival kind of mechanism is built into the way we're programmed and wired. So we have a little bit of different adds into it. We may become, as we're going through them, we may be a very expressive personality style, but under stress and under pressure, we become very direct and very driven. You're not a driver all the time. You're just that way when you get under stress. And sometimes you may be in this point where you're like, I don't understand that. I don't like that way that I am. And now you'll kind of understand and get it a little bit. So, it's normal. It's common for us to adapt. Everyone has an adaptive style to it. Versatility is the ability to adapt to a variety of people, like I said, in a variety of situations and in a variety of different ways. I have a little thing that I just keep programming myself is I tell myself when I'm going into appointments, because if it's a certain communication style that I'm going to go meet with that I know it isn't a natural one for me to communicate with, I just get in the mindset, Mike, give it a chance, go out there and love on them. You can like anybody for 30 minutes. I just kind of, and it's true. Once you go into that, I can like anybody for 30 minutes and you move on. And it's just that sometimes people just make you feel uncomfortable. So you start getting short with them and you start communicating differently. And it's not them, it's their communication style, how it's clashing with you. And once you understand that, you kind of look past it. So you're born with a communication style, and it generally never really changes. You may become more adaptable, and you may learn to communicate with other styles, so others around you think you might be at times this or like that, but your core never really changes. What changes is your adaptability. You're also born with a certain degree of versatility, and that can change dramatically. Some of us are born with a very small, versatile, it's range that we can get into. Some of us are born with a pretty wide range. But wherever we're at, once we get awareness around it and we understand other people, we can work on that and get better at it. So as your awareness increases, your versatility increases. Just keep being aware and keep looking at things a little bit differently. The challenge that each of us face is being comfortable with who we are and identifying the style of the person that we're talking to, and then adapting to them. That's the challenge, is really being comfortable with who we are and understanding who we are and understand that it's okay. You've all heard somebody say, I just didn't feel comfortable with that person, or you've heard the reference to the fact that this person is just not a good fit for me. Well, they're referring to that this person didn't have the same communication style as them, and they were unable to adapt because they just put that up as a wall. So if you want to bring people closer to you and on your side, rather than having them adapt to you, the quicker way is you adapting to them. Because they're most likely not as aware as you're going to be, because this is what we do for a living. We work with people. So we've got to understand how they think, why they think certain ways, and how we can help them. There's some specific things that we need to do for versatility. For example, we need to learn to ask questions instead of telling. The more questions we ask, the deeper we can get with them. We have to listen carefully. That's a key right there, is we have to listen in order to know what to ask next, not listening for the pause so we can talk. That's different. A lot of people are listening so that they can get in and say what they want to say. They're not really listening to what the other person's saying. So get really specific about listening to people. And then we also have to quit having to be right. It doesn't matter if we're right or wrong. To them. We just have to listen to them and help them. What's great is when you can listen to them and then you can show them and ask them questions so they self-discover that you are right. And the next one is, I want you to remove your ego. Constantly be thinking about where my ego is getting in the way. And I don't mean you're walking around like you're, some high school stud varsity football player walking around like, I got a chip on my shoulder kind of ego. Everyone has an ego. Everyone has something that they walk into with, and it's them. It's their brain in, and they're kind of putting up a wall so they don't have to change. Remove that. Understand that nobody cares. Just ask them some more questions and be confident that if they're not willing to answer your questions, then they're not the right people to work with. But don't walk away going, hey, they weren't a good fit for me because of their communication style, and you didn't ask the questions to them, but you blame it all on the fact that they were different than you. That's not where you want to be. You want to be in a spot where you're asking enough questions, they're unwilling to go down the journey of your questions. Now you've made the decision, I can't work with this person. So get out of your box. Get out of the way that you are just living life. As we're going through this, you're going to become more aware of it, and you're going to start understanding what makes other people tick. And we got to get out of that rut that we've been in since birth of living. We lived a certain way. Our parents have been a certain way. We've grown up a certain way because of the way we were brought up with around them. And we're trying to find other people that are like that. Let that get out of your way. Move it around. What's comfortable for you is going to keep you where you're at. Your growth lies in getting uncomfortable a little bit every day. And first way we're going to get uncomfortable is putting yourself in situations that make you uncomfortable and getting you to learn to adapt. So as we've gone through this journey so far, our first 5 sessions have really been a lot around mindset. We've had some action pieces, and we've lightly brought in accountability. Right here, this is all action stuff. This is stuff that you're going to get aware of, and you're going to start putting this into work as we're going through this deeper. And part of your homework is really going to be about looking and observing other people and understanding what they're saying and trying to label which communication style they are and work at asking a question to adapt to them. So let's dive into each style right now. The first style we're going to talk about is the analytical style. This is typically known as the high C in the DISC profile. A lot of people hear it from, DISC. We're going to talk about it in a little bit different. This is the analytical style. These are generally people that have low emotional response. They're generally slow in making decisions. They're very, very structured and organized. They require facts, figures, details, graphs, data. They follow procedures pretty carefully. So they're always about following the rules. They sometimes can be considered perfectionists. They're really good at problem solving skills. They're disciplined with time. Time is everything to them. They understand what's and respect it. And when people are late, they don't like it. They usually have a dry sense of humor. They're witty. They appear quiet and cool. So that personality style makes up about 25% of the people that we deal with. That's the analytical category. And if you don't learn to deal with them, since it's 25% of the people, it's going to be tough that we're going to do business with that type of group. It's not uncommon for this group to be employed as engineers, CPAs, work with software, computers, that kind of stuff, doctors, lawyers, pilots, things like that. That's not uncommon for this group to be employed that way, to be an analytical. So when you're presenting with an analytical, you want to give them as much information as possible. You want to spend a little time. You know that they're going to require all this information in order to make a decision. They're not going to make it on emotion. They're going to make it on logic. So you got to get data around it. If you try to get emotional, you try to tie into their emotions and bond with them, you never will, because they're not going to open up. You bond with them through the data. And they don't like to be pushed. They'll respond by withdrawing. They may not physically withdraw, but as soon as you start pushing them, they mentally withdraw. And once they mentally withdraw, it's hard to get them back. So you need to ask them questions through there. Does this make sense to you? Do you understand? Can I provide any more data? Do you see the trends? Talk about things like that as you're talking with them, because it just pulls more conversation out with them. So think about who in your life or who you've come across with that fits that role as we're going through this, because we're going to go through 3 more pretty quickly, and then we're going to open up for you guys to kind of talk about who you think you are a little bit. So the next group that we're going to talk about is the driver personality. These are the high Ds in the DISC profile. These people generally are low on emotion. They make decisions quickly. They're very control oriented, and they will take control if it's ever a given. If there's a little spot open up, they're the ones that jump up and take control. They love action. They're forceful. They get things done. They're considered to be very dominant. They're bottom line oriented. They understand one thing. They don't care about the others. They just want the one bottom line thing. They seem rushed or impatient at times, and they appear to be aloof or arrogant at times. So in dealing with drivers, remember that they want to get to the point immediately. They don't want to chit chat. They don't want to get into lengthy conversations. They want to get to the point. Give them the information that they need so they can make a decision quickly. Then let them maintain control because they like that. Then start bonding with them. They don't like that at the beginning. They want to make a decision. There's a purpose that they're there for. They want it done. Then they'll sit and relax and do things after. So maintain as much control as you can. Although you've been asking questions, keep the presentation on track. They don't like things to go on bunny trails. They like it on track. So stay with that. So think about who in your life or in your world or you yourself or anyone that fits that mold. And think about times that now that you're becoming aware of this, you're going to think about times that, oh, that's why I didn't win that presentation, or that's why that buyer took so long to buy because I was doing this and I should have been doing that. You know, it's just think of all those opportunities that are sitting there. So the next communication style we're going to talk about is the amiable personality. This is the high S on the DISC profile. These group of people, they're very high on emotional responses. They're slow in decision making. They're very friendly and warm. They're very agreeable. They're great team players. They're very supportive. They're soft-hearted. They work with people on common goals. They like team things. They like doing things together. And at times they can be soft-spoken, but not in a group setting. In a group setting, their high emotion comes out and they can be kind of loud at times, but most of the time they're kind of soft-spoken. When the amiable personality, when working with them, you have to understand their need for approval. They need to be approved. They need to hear things. They need to be around it, and they need to feel like they feel comfortable. And when you're presenting this personality style, refer to the fact that you want the buyer to feel as comfortable about the property as they do. They like that because they want the same thing. They want people to feel comfortable where they're at because they feel comfortable where they're at. That'll bring you closer to them pretty quickly. This group of people make up the majority of the public. A good 50 to 60% of the public fit into the amiable personality. They're what are considered good followers. They understand. They listen to what's going on in the news. They're the reason the media says what they say. You know, they are out there because they're emotional in their responses. So things like that drive them. And it could be you. Just understand and do that. And there's nothing wrong. It's the way we all are. And we are fit into these 4 styles. There's nothing we can do to change it. We can just adapt to it. All right, the last style that we're going to talk about, the last of the 4, is the expressive personality. This is known as the high I in the DISC. This group of individuals are fast in decision making. They're high in terms of emotion. They're very outspoken. They're open and spontaneous. They always appear to be rushing around. They like being the center of attention. They rarely allow themselves to be bored. And they normally are always late to things. when dealing with the expressives, you'll notice that they are involved in multiple things at one time and seem to be enjoying living on the edge. Nothing really bothers them. They're just always moving. They're very animated in their conversations and animated in their style of clothing. They're usually loud. Their houses sometimes colors and are vibrant and open, and it's louder. There's lots of things in the home. There's a lot of things on walls and doing things. That's a lot of times they fit into that room. So when you're also working with these people, when you can compliment them, you find something that's interesting, you walk through the house, you compliment them on something, you compliment them on what they're wearing, you talk about something that you can tell is a part of their style or the way they go, they become your best friend. They love compliments. Don't compliment them on something and don't really believe it because they're going to see through it. But find something, look for a way to compliment them. They love that. So those are the 4 communication styles. When you get done with this call in the Kajabi site on the member page, you guys are going to have a breakdown of everything we just went through, plus a lot more content because we don't have enough time to go through this and have me read it to you. But go through there, spend some time, really get deep with it. Go to different things and look at different tools and start watching people over these next few days and really start thinking about where you're at and where they're communicating. So with the last 30 minutes of this call, let's kind of open it up to get into discussions on who you think you are, why you think you're that way. And what you'll notice is most likely you and your spouse are not the same personality style. You're usually different. Not all the time, but a lot of times you are. So who wants to talk about a breakthrough, a question, or anything that they have through what I just went through? Because I went through it pretty quick. There's a lot of content there, a lot of thinking.
I would say that I have one of these types of people and family all over the place.
Yep.
And listen to you and how talk about different things. One thing that came to mind, I didn't realize I was doing it so much, but when you say it, I do. When I meet new people or I start talking to people, I think who they remind me of in a family. I have a very large family, and we span from my sister, who is a PA, and her nickname is Bach, to my dad, who is a pilot and aircraft mechanic. So I have a whole lot of different people, and I respond to those people the way I would respond to or interact with those family members per se. So
I love that.
And I find that it does help know how to talk to them, especially when you get their idea.
No, I think that's so, awesome. Yeah. And I push you to go deeper with that. You know, as you get this information that we went through today, instead of calling someone an analytical, maybe you call them, well, that's Uncle Jim, or and you just think of them as your family because you're in a lot of social settings with them, and your mind goes to, okay, this is how I deal with that individual. That would be a great way to kind of label instead of calling them DISs or whatever they are, or analytical driver. Call them the title of the person in your family that you already know how to relate to. And you're probably going to enjoy speaking to that member of your family a little bit more now because you can understand a little bit behind what they're doing. So what do you think you are, Michelle? Just from what you've heard.
I'm going to say a combination of analytical and the driven, probably.
What makes you think that?
I am very detail oriented. I don't like a lot of fluff. So get to the point so I can get on what I'm doing. But I know I'm telling a story. I'm some my husband tells us sometimes that I myself have a problem get to the point. I have to tell you about 3 conversations ago to get to this point. My daughter exactly with that too. So yeah, I think there's a little bit of all of it in some of our personalities. I know that I have, but in different certain situations, certain people, and I have a lot of patience than I did when I was younger. But then I have more patience than others too. So the trade-off,
Sounds good. Yeah, just go deeper with it, and I'm curious at where you're going to think you are after you get deeper with your communication of understanding these communication styles. If I had to peg you before you said this, I would say you were an amiable with analytical style because of your line of work, doing billing, doing all that kind of stuff with that, and sitting in an office, that would make sense to me. You know, and it doesn't mean I'm right and you're wrong. It just, that's the way I would peg it. And the reason I'm saying this to you guys is I want you to start thinking about what people say and do when you're asking them questions, so that you start to walk into a presentation before meeting them thinking they're a certain way so you can adapt and work with them. So look for things that are keys, like you ask them about what they do for a living, why are they going there, what's important to them, how does that fit into these different communication styles, likelihood, and how do you peg this person to be? Because now you know how to kind of walk in and be prepared. I would think if I came in with ways of getting to emotion, making you feel like you're part of things, giving you some data behind it, but not overwhelming you, not forcing you to make a decision, I could get you to come along my way. Yeah. So I'm already I'm looking at that as I'm going in, and that's where that adaptability and versatility comes from with knowing this data. You are going to be thinking that, hey, this person is an analytical, and you're going to walk in and they're not, they're just a driver. And now you get, or they're this or that. You're going to have that happen once in a while, but you're going to be right more than you're going to be wrong. So don't worry about it. Just, you're trying to get ready and to prepare yourself for it. Okay. Anyone else have any thoughts of who they are?
Hi, can you hear me?
Maria? Yep, I can hear you.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Very good. Thank you so much.
I love the backdrop.
Yeah, right? I do too.
Yeah.
Ooh, it's fun. It's better than a couch. So I love what you said. Everything is so right on point. I I've had to like really self-analyze myself as far as like what went wrong when I've missed out on an opportunity. Like I think I used to be, not so much anymore, but I used to be really, really hard on myself. Like, oh my gosh, it was like the end of the world. Like, what could I have done differently? How did I manage? How did I handle that? And so, but clearly our experiences bring us to this, to now. And I've always thought of myself as like a really great salesperson because I don't know, I just like, that's always been something I've really enjoyed doing is sales and customer service. Like I pride myself in that. But as far as like my personality, what I do, and I don't know if this is right or I don't know for sure, but I do like to mimic my clients. Like kind of I'm following them, I'm listening to them. I don't want to get ahead of them. I don't want to, I just want to think and kind of soak it in. And then I just process what they say. And then because I don't want to say the wrong thing and I don't want to make them uncomfortable. I just tell them basically, okay, I see, I understand. So what you're saying is this, and that. And, that's how you know, that's how I do things. And I don't know if
Hmm.
it's the right way or the wrong way, but I know I can't get ahead of anyone. And I'm confident that everything's going to work out. Whether if I'm the person that's going to help them navigate through the real estate world, or if it's going to be someone else, I'm already comfortable with whatever it's going to be.
Hmm.
So I do have past clients reaching out to me and referring me to other people. And I had an assistant for years, and she was my neighbor. And she called me last week and she says, Maria, I'll be selling my house. And I said, okay, very exciting. I know you know a lot of agents out there. And so have you decided who's going to sell your home? Because I wasn't thinking I'm selling your home. I don't go there.
Hmm.
I don't get ahead of myself. But she says, well, Maria, she goes, I've known you the longest and I trust you the most. So it's going to be you. And so I was like, wow, okay, thank you so much. I'm excited about helping you, and here's how we're going to do that. And so it's going to be early next year where,
Hmm.
she puts her house up on the market. And I was really flattered by what she said, and it stayed with me. Like, you know, I think sometimes as we get older, as we experience more, on one hand, we have the experience, but on the other hand, we've been kind of beat up a little bit. So we get we have a tendency to, like, kind of, it balances all out, but at
Hmm.
the end of the day, we have good and bad experiences that we bring. And so
Hmm.
I guess we just really have to focus on those good experiences. And I'd like to say exactly what my personality is, but I'm a little bit of everything, and I want to say I'm mostly a to the point person. Like, let's get to the point. And I do make quick decisions based on the information I have at hand. And I
Hmm.
have worked with engineers, I've worked with pilots, I've worked with police officers, I've worked with nurses, I've worked with school teachers, I've worked with different nationalities, and even
Hmm.
those are, now figuring out how different nationalities, because it's different the way you treat them. It's,
Hmm.
you wouldn't
Yeah.
think that, but it is true.
Hmm. Well,
So
and you're on. You had so many great things that you said in this, and you guys, when you go back and watch this video, listen to what Maria said. There's so many nuggets to take out of that, of what she said, and what she's some of her breakthrough. The one thing I will say is you were talking about mimicking, um, and doing that. I would just change the word you're using, because actually what you're doing is you're mirroring them, meaning that you're
right.
giving that they're seeing in you what makes them feel comfortable. So you're mirroring them, and if you see them sit a certain way, you'll sit a certain way. If you see them, cross their arms, you'll cross their arms. If their arms aren't crossed, you shouldn't cross your arms because you're making them uncomfortable. You're finding ways to kind of get there. Ask that seller of yours what makes her feel so comfortable around you. So it's such a great compliment you gave me, and I'm just curious. What makes you feel so comfortable? Get a word from her. Just go say, and then it'll just validate what it is you've already just said there, and it'll give you more
Well,
energy.
I mean, this girl, she was my neighbor. I've known her for 18 years, and she just so happened to be my assistant for about 5 years. And
Hmm.
she would tell me, she would always say things like, she's like, Maria, you're you're just so genuine. You're so honest. You're so
Hmm.
real in every way. Like, you're never negative in any situation. And
Hmm.
I was like, okay, okay. I mean, like, I I just like to treat people the way I feel that I want to be treated. I mean, I don't make things complicated, because life is already complicated. So let's
Hmm.
not make things more complicated. So
Yeah,
that's pretty much,
exactly.
my way
Yeah.
of thinking is, you know, let's
Hmm.
make the best of situations, and let's work together,
Yeah. And when
Sorry.
and when it comes to the personality styles, guys, you really only are one. you may have adaptability and you can do certain things. Some things you bring along with you because of where you're at in the scale, that it's impossible not to have some of the other stuff. But you really are driven by one personality style into there. So just understand that. And you do become a little bit different under stress, but it's not something you can sustain. Your natural everyday behavior that you wake up without even thinking and doing, that's your dominant personality. Maria, I would be willing to bet that you have a lot more expressive in you than driver in you. You're an expressive, you're emotionally tie into it, but since you're so high on the expressive, you bring the driver with you because it's impossible to have that high of an expressive without having some drive.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, just your background, you know, you're expressing something, you know, yeah, no, it's, I mean, but those are things I'm looking for when I'm talking to people, you know, what are the spots, the smile, the, you know, all that is leading me to think that, okay, this person is an expressive personality style.
One thing I do want to add, which I actually, I want people to feel the love. Like I want them to know that I love them. Whether we do business or not, that's irrelevant. I want them to know I care, and I want them to like really understand that I come from a good place, because when it comes to someone buying or selling a home, they're very vulnerable, and their expectations are all over the place, or expectations may not always be identified from them, like what, because it's a time where it's a very, you know, even for them it's super high energy, it's super, you know, there's so many uncertainties, and for them to go through that, I do understand it. I've been through it so many times, and so, you know, that's,
But guys, listen to what she just said there. That when I went through the expressive personality style and I talked about the things that these people generally are, the first two items that I said was they're fast in decision making and they're high in terms of emotion. And think about what Maria just said there. She loves when people feel that she cares. She loves the emotion that they bring into it. She likes that bonding of it, and that drives her to keep doing more of it. I mean, so look at those things that people say and how they do things and tie it in, so you can start going, okay, I need to be more outgoing. I need to be very soft spoken at times. I need to be open and spontaneous. I need to give them some things. I need to compliment them on their home. You know, you understand what that other person is, and you start going and going, okay, I need to do that. And what's really cool when you start becoming aware of all this, you're gonna like sometimes going, well, that wasn't natural for me, but it felt really good. And you're gonna have a lot more fun, and you're gonna have a better opportunity of building relationships with people to get referrals because you're open to understanding the beauty that they have within them. Thank you, Maria.
You're welcome. Thank you.
That was great. So Michelle just joined us. Michelle, we're going through personality style, so you just kind of caught it in. So we're just kind of, and you've been through this with me talking before, but you know, we're just kind of going through and talking about where we kind of think we are in that journey. And person I was going to come to next was Jesus. Who do you think you are in this group, Jesus? Jesus, can you hear me? Oh.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah. I've been thinking about it, and I'm not sure yet. So,
what's your first thought?
Well, I always like to help people, so I want to listen to their needs and everything. So I care for them. That's one of the first things. And but sometimes I get ahead of their idea or their, but they answer a question, they give me, they express their needs. I try to get ahead and please them.
Mhm.
No,
You're quick, you're fast acting.
Mhm. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure yet. So how to.
I would just say, and I'm not 100% sure because I don't, we've talked a few times, but I haven't had a lot of conversation with you. But I would guess just from a couple of things that you said and a couple of things you just said there, you probably have some driver in your personality style. You probably take charge.
Mhm.
You
Yeah,
that would
mhm.
probably be my first thing to come in. So I would come in going, okay, if from what I'd heard just you say there, I'm gonna go in thinking that you're there. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm gonna come into that presentation asking a few questions to pull more information out to find out if I'm right. And
Yeah,
sometimes you can
probably
tell that when you walk into people's environments and see them too.
Mhm.
And then I'm gonna go at it. And now I'm gonna go, okay, I respect the way you are. This is what I'm gonna be fast to the point. Get you where you want, and then I'll bond after. Because your driver personalities, they don't want to chit chat. They want to know what the purpose is. And once you get the purpose and they feel comfortable, they'll chit chat for hours. But they
Yeah,
won't
that's
chit
right,
chat
yeah.
for hours to find out why you're there. They've
And
checked out. They've gone.
Yeah, most of the time that's the kind of clients I get. They get information, then boom, yeah, let's put the
Yeah.
offer or put it on the market. So.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. We'll keep going deeper into that, and I'm glad you're thinking. And I really don't expect everyone to have themselves nailed. Usually, the ones that have themselves nailed are the expressives. They walk in like, yep, that's me. Like they can't hide. They're like, yep, that's me. I'm the life of the party. I walk in and hey everyone, they don't. But the other three personality styles usually are kind of I'm probably this or that. The amiables have the hardest time because they have a little bit of other thoughts in their head, and so they think they've got this, they think they like this, and because they like decisions at times, they like data at times, they like this at times, but really they want someone to really make the decision for them. They feel a lot more comfortable just tell me what to do.
True, yeah. Mhm.
So Anna, are you on with us? See, you're down here, but I don't know if you're on because we don't see you. Steve, you have any ideas of who you are?
Yeah, I've been tested before, and I'm a high D,
Yeah.
with a huge emphasis on C. Sometimes they say, but that just comes from law enforcement. You learn to adapt, very quickly to your surroundings and what's around you, because it can cost you your life if you don't.
Mhm.
Thank God here it only costs you a listing, not your life. But yeah, it's just, for me, it's just I focus on a couple of things. And one, like what Michelle was asking about, like pricing a house and all that stuff, is one of the first things I look at is, or I ask the client is like, what is your home worth? And now we know we start off really high, and that's good. So now I know where the limit's at. And then I start asking them a whole series of questions after that. And I focus really big on the who, what, where, when, and why. And I stay right within that realm. And then I just show them what the home is really worth. And it's based off of their personality. But I like for them to feel comfortable right away. So then I get to know who they are by just asking them, what is your home worth? So they tell you right away. Because of course, they're all going to tell you their home's worth $700,000-800,000 when it's not. So, and that's fine. But now we know we have a ceiling, so I say, and then from there we work in between. So I do tend to study people very closely, and and kind of listen a lot, and I stay quiet. As you can see on these calls, when I first came onto these calls, I didn't talk much. I learn a lot just by listening to people. So I'm very adaptable in that sense. And that's what I constantly work on, is just listening and then trying to figure out. And in my mind, sometimes I'm very analytical. Like even when somebody insults me, I'm like, I wonder why they said that. I wonder where that's coming from. My wife kind of laughs at me like, you just realized they insulted you, right? And I said, yeah, but I'm just wondering why they said that or where it came from. And so I don't focus on that. And I know that we as agents tend to focus on things, but it's like anything else. Like, when you're dealing with different personalities, I know when you're dealing with a lot of pain, they tell you focus on one thing. And so if you stay focused on the mission, everything else will come. And it's really, really critical, because we tend to want to analyze things this way. That's why you say sometimes just sit back and chill out, because it's true. We overthink things so drastically sometimes that we just think ourselves right out the door and on to the next listing. And it's because we just overthought it. And we're trying to concentrate so hard on mirroring that person or trying to get on their good side or show them who we are. But what we don't understand is a lot of their objections are tests. They're testing us. They're prodding us. They're trying to see what reaction we're going to give them and how we're going to do it. And if you overstudy it, you won't get it because you're not being you, like you said.
Yeah.
So it's really
one of the things my coach says to me all the time, because I do that a lot, is I overthink things. That's just part of my nature. And he's always saying, Mike, are you seeking to understand or are you seeking to seek?
Yeah.
And I'm it slows me down. That's because sometimes I get stuck in there where you just question things, you start worrying, and it's like, oh, I'm going down a bunny trail. I'm not really doing anything constructive with that. So pretty awesome. The reason I came to you last, Steve, is because of your cop. If you guys are going on an appointment, they're a cop or a police officer, they 99% of the time are drivers. If they're a detective, they're a driver with an analytical personality style. But if they're a cop, if they're in some sort of, if they're firemen or anything where they're going, they protect and serve, the majority of them are drivers, because they're willing to go in to a burning house and rescue someone and not worry about the burning house. They're worried about the individual. And that's, so that right away. So this person is a quick to the point kind of person, but you also know that once you're quick to the point, cops love to, they bond, they connect with people. They don't like to, so once you're quick and to the point and you get it, you've got a friend for life if you relate to them after that.
Yeah, they're very loyal. And we tend to come into talking with them. Like some people tell me like, you're very intimidating. And I get a kick out of that because I'm a big softy if you really know me. But if you look at the outside, it does look rough. I'm 6'2", 225 pounds, so I kind of loom large, and people take that as, oh my gosh, this guy is just a bad individual. The only thing I consider myself really good at is cooking. So, and I can't hurt you with cooking. I can feed you. That's all I can do.
There you go.
So, but when you walk into those type of interviews with detectives, you're right. Detectives do analyze, and they're quick, and they analyze and they're quick, and they keep going back and forth. But when you're dealing with those people, you just have to be yourself, and you can't focus on what they are. You just got to focus on the mission. And the mission is they want to sell their house or they want to buy a house. And if you focus on that, they're going to hit you. They are.
Yeah, your drivers and your analytical, they're very loyal.
Yep, and they will stay very loyal to you, and they'll refer a ton of people to you. I have one border patrol agent that like almost every other month keeps referring people to me all the time, and they'll follow up, and just follow up with them. Just call them, say hi, and I send videos out to people, and they get a kick out of them now. They're just like loving those videos from Bomb Bomb. It's like, hey, just wanted to say hi, see how you're doing. Hope everything's well. Let me know if you need anything. I'm here. Remember, I'm Leo Gets. What you need, I can get. And they like that, and they just they click to that. But just stay focused on the who, what, where, when, and the why, and you'll be okay.
That's it. But yeah, remember, they stay loyal. So when you find them, connect with them and get deep with a driver. And everyone stays loyal to a certain extent, but it's hard to get close to an analytical and a driver unless they trust you. And if they trust you, you have a friend for life. Where some of your expressive and your amiables, they will do business with you without 100% trusting you. Drivers and analyticals 100% have to trust you. So when you get close with those groups, you've got a great bond. You very rarely will find out a driver and analytical left your world unless you left them and didn't communicate with them. But your expressive and your amiables you'll get a call. Oh, how cute. Bye. But you'll get a call from them saying, hey, we went through an open house and I bought a house from someone. What? Your driver will walk in and go, hey, can you call my agent? Because I don't understand this. So, all right, guys, so let's talk about your self-work and your accountability for this session. So I want you guys to spend some time identifying with the 4 communication styles that we went through, identify which communication style you are, identify which communication style you struggle with the most, and start going out and putting yourself in uncomfortable positions to get better with them. Identify your spouse or your loved one or who you spend most time with, what they are. Have a conversation around this around the holidays. You know, you're together for Thanksgiving with family. Talk about it. Talk about who you are, what you see, and kind of make fun with it, because that's a different type of, people love to learn a little bit about themselves or others. So identify that. Identify the communication style, like I said, of your spouse, your significant other. Work on that and share the stuff that's on here that I went through with you guys about what these people normally do, what they like, what they don't like, for each communication style. And your person close to you will get a little better idea of what makes you the way you are. You'll find you're not that weird. You'll find that other people aren't that weird either. It's just everyone has a little bit different thoughts. So do that. So then think about what is the one thing you can do to be more versatile with your communication and your communication style, and what do you struggle with the most to do that, and share that in the group, in the Facebook group, in the next 24 hours. You know, what's the one thing you can do to be more versatile to communicate with others, and what do you struggle with the most? And what you'll find is by sharing that is some people are going to tell you, oh, in that situation, this is what I do, or this is how I communicate. And you'll be like, oh, okay, that's a good question to ask. You know, like the who, what, when, and how, you know, like all that stuff. These are all great ideas. Maria shared a ton of breakthrough stuff with us. So go back and watch this video and listen to what Steve and Maria and everyone shared. You'll start adding things to your toolbox of dialogue, and you'll start asking some deeper questions and getting into it. But remember the first thing I said when I started this, guys, it all starts with understanding ourselves. When you understand who you are and what makes you tick, and understand you're not weird because of it, that's just the way you're wired, you'll start talking to other people and asking the right type of questions. And it all comes down to that. If you go into it and ask an analytical the questions that you would an expressive, and never bond with an analytical, you're never going to get it. And then you're going to walk away and go, this person wasn't a good fit for me. They were, you just didn't fit to them. And remember, we're building a referral-based business. So to get into relationships, we've got to understand our tribe. We got to understand our people. If we're only looking for people like us, we've limited the amount of deals we're going to do per year and the amount of people we can help. All right, guys, I appreciate it. I am going to be traveling the rest of the day. So either late tonight or tomorrow, I will get this video up for you. I will get the member page all set, get all that done. So look tomorrow afternoon to go in and rewatch the video and get the downloads and all that kind of stuff. I'll have it up there. If I get it up sooner, I'll send you an email out that it's up. But I appreciate you guys, care a lot. And if you guys get a chance, go to that my 10 days of giving download. I got an email that's going to come out to you for every day for the next 10 days. It's going to have scripts and free things for you, and you can get friends and everyone else to do it. Yes, Michelle?
That's what I wanted to ask you about. Do we have to register for that?
Yeah, just put in your name and then
automatic?
it'll put you into the email campaign. Because
Okay.
it's
All right,
set up
cool.
as an email. So it'll come out, and it comes out once a day for the next 10 days. And it'll give you something to do. So a lot of things that we've talked about, plus some other different stuff are in there. All right, guys, share it with any agent, anyone in your marketplace you think would be great. Doesn't cost a dime, not asking for anything, just want their name and email, and then it'll email it to them. All right, guys, appreciate it. We'll talk real soon. See you Friday.
Bye, guys.